الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وإذ نجيناكم من آل فرعون يسومونكم سوء العذاب يذبحون أبناءكم ويستحيون نساءكم وفي ذلكم بلاء من ربكم عظيم صدق الله العظيم. In continuation of ayat number 49, we spoke briefly about the historical aspect of the first type of sihr, the first type of magic. This sihr is illusions of the eyes, where a magician will use various tactics to make people see things that they didn't see before. And this form of magic goes way back, dates back to Qawm Thamud, when Shaitan or Iblis came to that Qawm to make them believe that the naqatullah, or the miracle that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to that Qawm, the ayah and the sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to that Qawm through the dua of Salih alayhi salam, and that miracle was not something of a miracle, rather it was some illusion. So Shaitan or Iblis convinced that Qawm, and in the end that Qawm was destroyed. At the time of Musa alayhi salam, before Musa alayhi salam was even born, when Fir'aun came into power, and he established his power, he used magic or sihr as a main means of controlling the masses. Through magic or sihr, he was able to put fear in the hearts and minds of the people. And because of that fear, or through that fear, everyone became obedient. At the time of Fir'aun, the first type of magic that was used, when Musa alayhi salam was sent to Fir'aun with the various ayat or signs and miracles that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave to Musa alayhi salam, Fir'aun openly challenged Musa alayhi salam that these are nothing more than magic and you're nothing more than a sahir or a magician. Because the miracles that he displayed were such miracles that no magician could ever face. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would always give a Nabi of the time such miracles that the power and the force of that time would not be able to face. Amongst the miracles that were given to Musa alayhi salam, one that his stick or his staff would turn into a serpent. Should be made clear that Musa alayhi salam, before this he was a shepherd. Inshallah, when the time comes, we'll get into the life story of Musa alayhi salam. But part of being a shepherd, he used to carry a staff with him. And this staff, when he threw it, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it turn into a very, very massive serpent. So massive that even Musa alayhi salam was terrified. At night time, whenever we travel, especially to a place where we're not familiar, a new area, and we have our family with us, how terrified we become for the safety of our family. So Musa alayhi salam, he was traveling at night. In the distance he saw a fire. Generally we would take the other route and go the other way. Musa alayhi salam told his family to wait, and he went straight to the fire, wherever he saw the fire. He told his family, maybe I'll bring some news or bring some warmth, some fire with me. And this is how brave Musa alayhi salam was. Very, very great courage he had. And when he went to that fire, it was actually, the tree was on fire. It was a nur that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put on the tree. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then spoke directly to Musa alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Musa alayhi salam, after introducing himself, وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا Musa, what is in your right hand, O Musa? And Musa alayhi salam began describing his staff. هِيَ عَصَايَ تَوَكَّأُ عَلَيْهَا وَأَهُشُّ بِهَا عَلَى غَنَمِي وَلِيَ فِيهَا مَآرِبُ أُخْرَى. He said, it's my staff, I lean on it, and I bring down the leaves for the sheep, and it has many other benefits. And he started his tafseer of what the staff was. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, just throw it. Then we see what it is. When Musa alayhi salam threw the staff, it turned into such a serpent that Musa alayhi salam turned around and took off. He ran. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him, oh Musa, why are you running? Just take the staff. When Musa alayhi salam took the staff, it turned back. Touched the snake, it turned back into his staff. But that was one of the miracles that Musa alayhi salam displayed in front of Fir'aun. The second miracle was Yadi Bayda. Musa alayhi salam was told to put his hand in his bosom, and when he took it out, it was shining. And it was not like the flashlights we have. You turn on the flashlight in the middle of the day, you can't even see the flashlight. There's almost zero benefit. When Musa alayhi salam took his hand out, it was shining such that even the sunlight dimmed out in that area. It was not like our flashlights. It was a different kind of miracle. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him some of these miracles. So the magicians, at that time people were familiar with magicians. So Fir'aun openly accused Musa alayhi salam of magic and had a display. Fir'aun said, I can defeat you. And when Musa alayhi salam, he accepted the challenge. So on that day, Fir'aun had gone and gathered as many of the most powerful magicians he could find. At that time, that was the norm of the time, the power of the time. Like in this time and age, technology. And in technology, there are some people on the very top, in computer science or in IT, the newest fields that are coming out, robotics. There's some people on the very, very top. Some of them are professors, some of them are in the business field, they're top. And they have such skill that the average people don't have. Even the people who are in the IT, they don't have those kind of skills. So this also, at that time, there were some magicians, and there were another level of magician. And when they came to Fir'aun and they accepted that challenge against Musa alayhi salam, they displayed the first type of sihr. They asked Musa alayhi salam that, oh Musa, do you want to throw your staff first, or do we throw our staff? And Musa alayhi salam, he told him, you throw first. When the magicians had come to Fir'aun, Fir'aun asked the magician that, do you need anything to defeat Musa alayhi salam? So the magicians, they said, they looked at Musa alayhi salam, they saw his libas, his dress, and they saw his stick. And they said, okay, there must be something in this dress that he's hiding something. And all the prophets and the alim, and they wear the thobe, very simple. Very simple clothing, where the qamis, very, very simple. These are the clothing mentioned in the Quran, the clothing of haya and modesty. Or the libas al-taqwa, the clothing of taqwa. They said, we want that dress that he's wearing, and we want that type of stick that he has. Try to make it as close to it as. There must be something in this that you're bringing these many of us experts to challenge this one person. Something is going on, This one person must be another level of expert, Right? So they wanted the same kind of clothing. When they came to the open hall and everyone came, they used to have the kind of coliseum. Like nowadays we have these football games and people come to the big stadiums. So everyone came to the stadium. So they asked Musa alayhi salam, do you want to throw or should we throw? Musa alayhi salam told them, Bal alqu, go ahead, you throw first. So they threw their sticks and their ropes and whatever they could throw. And that was a very, very amazing display. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-A'raf, Saharu a'yun an-nas, they displayed a sihr on the eyes of the people. Wastarhabuhum, they made everyone afraid. Everyone kind of got surprised and shocked. What kind of magic is this? And it was a very, very great magic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-A'raf that they came with very, very great magic. But one thing in the ayat of Surah Al-A'raf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says right in the next ayah, فَوَحَيْنَا إِلَىٰ مُوسَىٰ أَنْ أَلْقِ عَصَاكَ, that we revealed to Musa alayhi salam that you also throw your staff. What was clear is that from the display of the first type of magic, Musa alayhi salam, he was not affected. He saw it, and that was it. There's a second type of magic that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Taha. When the magicians resorted to that type of magic, then Musa alayhi salam felt fear. And that magic is known as psychic magic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in Surah Taha in ayat number 66. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that when Musa alayhi salam told the magicians, قَالَ بَلْ أَلْقُوا, go ahead and you throw your staffs. So they threw their staffs. أَلْقَوْا حِبَالَهُمْ وَعِصِيَّهُمْ يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ سِحْرِهِمْ أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى. يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِ مِنْ سِحْرِهِمْ أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى. If you read the translation, it says they displayed their magic and they made Musa alayhi salam look like he was seeing the things moving. But if you go deep into these words, يُخَيَّلُ is a type of effect on someone's mind, on someone's thoughts. We call it psychic. This was the second type of magic that became very common at the time of Musa alayhi salam. Through extensive research, as I told you, when we human beings, we start research into something, look how far we can go. How far we came in the past 100 years. That 100 years ago, we had bicycles. Now we have cars. And then from cars, we have aeroplanes. And now we're going back to bicycles. Electric cars or what? It's going back to bicycles. So we're going backwards. Anyway, but that's how far we go in research. But at that time, they were doing the research on magic, how to affect someone if he was not affected by the trick. So they were able to produce a type of psychic magic. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us human beings very, very unique abilities. Amongst these abilities is that as human beings, through certain types of exercises, through certain types of meditation, we're able to focus our thoughts. Meditation, concentration. Depending on how strong our concentration is, we can affect those around us. That is why in the deen of Islam, especially in salah, we're told to have khushu' and khudu, to have devotion and concentration in our salah. Because that effect that brings a type of serenity in a person's life. But on the opposite side, when that concentration is used, it can change a person in various ways. There are some people that we may know, even amongst our circle of friends, that when they're in a good mood, just being around them, we also feel good. And there are others who, when they're in a bad mood, just being around them, we also feel depressed. All of us have those kind of friends. Why? Because there are certain emotions that emit a certain type of energy. Also, when someone is angry, not everyone, there are particular people who this is more evident than on other people. Even in our circle of friends, there may be one or two friends that might be like this. When they're angry, everyone feels it. When they're happy, everyone feels it. When they're sad or depressed, everyone around them also feel it. Chinese call it qi, and other ideas, other religions and other ideologies call it various names. But the reality is that these people have a certain level of concentration. And with that level of concentration, whatever their mood is, they're able to emit it to other people. We human beings, we have this effect. We're affected by our environment. We're affected by our friends. We're also affected by the emotions of those around us. That is why be very, very careful being around pessimistic people. People who are always pessimistic, people who are always trying to find fault with things, always depressed, they will also make you depressed. And if you are always around good people, the company of righteous people, or the company of people who are happy, generally serene, who are always optimistic and have the look into the future, being in their company will also make you optimistic. Sometimes you sit around some people and they tell you this grand plan, how they're going to, the kind of projects they have for the next 100 years. 5 minutes later, after you walk away from them, you also start formulating this idea, And the next 100 years I can also make. And then sometimes you sit with someone and they start telling you, in this part of the world there's this happened, this part of the world this news. They say no news is good news, And they start telling you all these news. Look, this happened, the world is coming to an end, And you go home and you think, man, within the next 30 minutes this world is going to be finished, khalas. So you start preparing, You start to see all the signs of qiyamah around you. Why? You are around the people who have that kind of effect on us. So this khiyal or this thought, it's very, very powerful. But these magicians were able to concentrate it. And through that concentration, all of them focused on Musa alayhi salam. Musa alayhi salam was a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but he was also human. And being human, he also felt the effect of that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the words of Surah Taha, and it's amazing words. The Quran is so deep in its meaning. It's sometimes so difficult to actually For those who are blessed with the depth of the ilm of Arabic, they can really appreciate how deep this Quran is. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Taha, فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةَ مُوسَى. The simple translation is that Musa alayhi salam felt deep within him a kind of fear. Translation doesn't do justice. There's different types of fear. One is you get afraid, you just get startled, okay, no problem, you walk away. And one is that fear that grips you. Your hair stands up, your whole body tense. You can't even think straight. Completely grips you. That's khifa. Very, very deep, very, very hidden. It goes very deep. It's not the regular kind of khawf. That type of fear comes when we know that something is possessing us, someone is controlling us. It happens. Nighttime. We get out of our beds and we feel something. What do we feel? How afraid we become. Something is there, someone is there. We don't see anything, we don't hear anything, but we feel it. So also, we human beings, when we start having an effect on someone, same thing happens. You start to feel something is there, you don't know what it is. So Musa alayhi salam, he felt that fear grip him. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the ayat of Surah Taha. فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً مُوسَى. At that time Musa alayhi salam felt that fear. It gripped him. And with that fear, he started seeing the sticks and the ropes moving. It was a kind of hypnosis called mesmerism. Hypnotic effect. We human beings, we also have this ability to hypnotize people. You find it many times. And this type of magic has become prevalent in this time and age also. There's a group known as the mentalists. They affect the mentality of people either with words or through concentration or through various other means. And sometimes they can even tell you what you're thinking, They walk up to you and they start telling you this story. This, and all of a sudden they tell you, you're hungry, you're thinking of a red apple. And you're like, how did you know? Well, they used a bunch of words before that to make you think of the apple. Then they tell you you're thinking of an apple. There are tricks to this trade. But these psychics, all of a sudden they start making you believe in them. They're also known as the kahinin. This is one group of the kahinin. That is why going to these soothsayers or these psychic type people is also haram. This type of sihr. Some of them, they really deal with the jinn and jinnat. That's a different story. But there's a group amongst them, they also work on the psychic of people, on the psyche. They're able to affect the way you think. Very, very dangerous. So this type of deep research was also done at the time of Musa alayhi salam. And a Nabi like Musa alayhi salam, such a brave and powerful Nabi, he felt fear inside him. So it means that this magic does have an effect on human beings. Even the Anbiya alayhi salam, they're also affected by it. It's very, very dangerous. And at the same time, it's also haram. The reason it is haram because of how dangerous it is. It has no benefit. There's a third type of magic. So there are the two types. One, saharu a'yun an-nas, the illusions that were played in front of the people to scare them. And the second, what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Taha, يُخَيَّلُ إِلَيْهِ مِن سِحْرِهِمْ أَنَّهَا تَسْعَى. They displayed a psychic ability or a psychic type of magic on Musa alayhi salam to make him see the ropes and sticks moving. Musa alayhi salam was a very brave person. Do you think illusions would have affected him? He saw the illusion, what is this, There's little toys and games you're playing. But when they did that psychic effect on him, they affected him. So there are two types of magic that are mentioned in the Quran. There's a third type of magic, also mentioned in the ayat of the Quran, but it goes very, very deep in the history as well. After Musa alayhi salam passed away, again I'm going in chronological order of how it came. First from the Qawm Thamud and now we're coming down to the time of Musa alayhi salam. So now when Musa alayhi salam, he passed away, the Bani Israel, they established in an area and then they also went back to the promised land and they were given that time. At the time of Musa alayhi salam, they were able to go and establish themselves in Philistine. They try to name it Israel now, Philistine. They established themselves there and they were promised that land. And when they were living there, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent various Anbiya alayhimus salam. Under the supervision of those Anbiya alayhimus salam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them victory. Musa alayhi salam was very old at that time. His student Yusha bin Nun alayhi salam, he was made in charge of the Bani Israel. And under his leadership, they were able to become established in Philistine. After Yusha bin Nun alayhi salam passed away, and a few other Anbiya alayhimus salam passed away, the Bani Israel, they resorted to kufr, the disobedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had already foretold and had already told them in the Torah that this was going to happen, they were going to fall into kufr. And for that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was going to send them Anbiya alayhimus salam, prophets. If you open Surah Al-Isra, another name for Surah Al-Isra is Surah Bani Israel. In the very beginning ayat of Surah Al-Isra, ayat number 5 or 6, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَقَضَيْنَا إِلَىٰ بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ فِي الْكِتَابِ لَتُفْسِدُنَّ فِي الْأَرْضِ مَرَّتَيْنِ وَلَتَعْلُنَّ عُلُوًّا كَبِيرًا. That we had already decreed to the Bani Israel in their book, meaning in the Torah, that they were going to cause mischief on the earth 2 times. And because of that mischief, they were going to be destroyed both times. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran those 2 times. فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ أُولَاهُمَا. When that first event happened, this is all in Surah Al-Isra. The first time it happened, what happened was that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to the Bani Israel 2 prophets. One by the name of Sha'ya alayhi salam, and the other by the name of Armiya alayhi salam. And these 2 prophets, when they were sent to the Bani Israel, they were giving da'wah to the Bani Israel to try and invite them to the truth. But the Bani Israel, they turned on these prophets and they killed Sha'ya alayhi salam. And they tried to kill Armiya alayhi salam also, but they couldn't kill him. Some of the narrations mention that this may have been Khidr alayhi salam also, Allahu alam. But they were not able to kill Armiya alayhi salam. So what they did is that they captured him and they put him in prison. At that time, Armiya alayhi salam made dua against the Bani Israel. This is such a major sin, killing a Nabi of Allah. And on top of that, imprisoning another Nabi of Allah for no reason. So Armiya alayhi salam made dua against them. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepted that dua. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Isra or Bani Israel, فَإِذَا جَاءَ وَعْدُ أُولَاهُمَا. When the first time that prophecy was fulfilled, that they caused mischief in the land by killing a Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Sha'ya alayhi salam, and then imprisoning the other Nabi of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بَعَثْنَا عَلَيْكُمْ عِبَادًا لَنَا أُولِي بَأْسٍ شَدِيدٍ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that we sent a very, very powerful servant of ours against them. And in history that was Bukhti Nasr. He came from Iraq. And he was a very, very powerful king. He had a very, very powerful army. There was another Nabi at that time also who had kept his nubuwah and his da'wah very hidden. He gave it to a very, very small group. By the name of Uzair alayhi salam. He was also a shepherd and he used to take his sheep out of the city in the morning, and in the evening he would come back. So one morning when he left, he had also heard of the bad dua of Armiya alayhi salam, so he knew something was coming. So he left the city in the morning to go graze his sheep outside of the city. In the morning, Bukhti Nasr attacked. They have the name in English also, Nebuchadnezzar. In their history, very, very powerful king. So he came from Iraq. At that time it was known as Babel, or Babylon as they say. And he came and he completely annihilated them. He destroyed all their houses, killed all their army, completely crushed their army. And he razed their houses to the ground, flattened their houses. He even went into their masjid. And they used to have their prison under the masjid. Even they believed that the prisoners needed to be reformed, and the only place to reform them was the masjid. You know, like our brothers from Da'wah and Tabligh, they tell you, come 3 days with us to the masjid, you know, and then they start working on you, you know. This is like a small little clinic, you know. So they knew that the only place to fix someone was in the masjid. So they used to have a prison under the masjid. And, you know, during sometimes they would bring the prisoners out and let them be with the Musalleen and be in the company of righteous people. So Bukhti Nasr even went inside their masjid, went into that prison. And he told them, he said, where is that one prisoner that's a Nabi of Allah? And they told him, you know about a Nabi of Allah? He said, yes, I was shown in a dream to come and destroy all of you and to free him. I was shown very, very clearly. So I know you're hiding this. Where is he? And he freed Armiya alayhi salam. And he told the people, he said, everything that has happened to you is because of the dua of this Nabi. And he let the Nabi go. He said, you go. He said, these people I'm going to deal with. Even he wasn't, we don't know if he was Muslim or not. But he was shown so clearly this sign. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, calling him even ibad, ibadan lana, one of our servants. So Bukhti Nasr, from just morning until midday, he had completely wiped out the whole city. And he took all the Bani Israel, he took them as prisoners to Iraq. And at that time, the Bani Israel, all the weapons were taken, their power was crushed, everything was taken from them. And when he took them to Iraq, he took them as prisoners. And when he took them as prisoners to Iraq, there they lived a very, very difficult life. They were slaves. That is why the Bani Israel, even till today, they have this kind of hatred against Iraq. All these wars that have happened against Iraq, don't think they just happen over only oil or something else. This is a very long history. They wanted revenge against those people. Anyhow, we're not going to go into present day. It's a very dangerous topic. But, so Bukhti Nasr, he took them to Iraq, made them slaves there. The Bukhti Nasr did not kill any of the innocent children. He did not kill any of the priests or rabbis. He only killed the soldiers. And he did not kill any women, or the young children, obviously. He did not kill any women. He took them all as slaves. When they were taken to Iraq, there in Iraq, the people came to the rabbis. And they said, we have no weapon. We have nothing to defend ourselves against these people. We are slaves to these people. What can we do? So the rabbis, they had a meeting on what to do, How can we protect ourselves, or is there any way that we can take some kind of revenge? And at this time, Shaitan came to them. And he told them that, you do have one thing, you have the Torah with you. He put this thought in their mind. You have this Torah with you. One thing needs to be understood. Words are very, very powerful. Words have a very, very profound impact on us human beings. One of the shuyukh, he was giving a speech, so he made this statement that words have a powerful, profound impact. So there was one psychologist in the gathering, he got up, he said, what are you talking about? How can words affect anyone? A very, very respectable psychologist. So the sheikh looked at the psychologist and said, listen, donkey, sit down. It's not very nice to call someone donkey. So especially respectable person. So the person became angry, his face became, he said, what did you call me? The sheikh said, you just said that words don't have an impact. Why are you turning red when I call you donkey? So anyway, words have a very, very profound impact. And I actually did numerous studies on this. There was a very, very famous Japanese scientist who did the effect of words on water, the crystals of water. When you go down to the molecular level of water, there are certain crystals, and how words and sounds can affect those crystals. It's a very, very deep research. If you get some time, read it. He even used tilawat of the Quran on the water, and it changed the crystal of the water to a very, very beautiful form. And there was another research they did in one of the universities where on the opposite end of the university, they put two flowers. And on one flower, they wrote kindness, happiness, and beautiful words. And on the other end of the university, they had another flower, same breed of flower, but on it they put hatred, anger, and bad words. And they instructed all of the students that when you go to the one flower that has good words, say all the words of love and kindness to that flower. And the other flower, get as angry as you can at it, So they started. And within 3 weeks, the flower that they were using bad words against, that flower died. And the other flower became very healthy and beautiful. That's how profound words are. If it has that impact on flowers or on water, what impact it has on us also. This is human words, human kalam, and emotions. What about the kalamullah, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Especially now, coming to the wahi. So they were given the Torah, and they understood that kalamullah, the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, also has a very, very profound impact. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the Quran. What impact it has. Even it's shifa in it. You read the Quran on a sick person, specific ayat, it can cure them with yaqeen. There are other ayat that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam recited, and even his enemies could not see him. For those who are familiar with seerah, the ayat of Surah Yasin, وَجَعَلْنَا مِن بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ سَدًّا وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ سَدًّا فَأَغْشَيْنَاهُمْ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he was coming out of Makkah, and the assassins were waiting there. They were waiting to kill him. So Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam recited this ayah, took some dust and blew it, And he walked right in front of the assassin. They didn't even see him. This is another ayah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Isra. وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam was sitting with Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and he recited this ayah, and the wife of Abu Lahab, she came. For those who are familiar with Tabbat Yada Abi Lahabin wa Tabb, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala curses Abu Lahab and his wife. So she came up to Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu and said, go tell your friend that he's reading these ayat against me and my family. Tell him this and tell him this. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu was looking at her and saying, he's sitting right here. Why are you telling me? Just tell him. He didn't say anything. He was just kind of shocked that she's talking to me and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sitting right here. And after she left, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu looked at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam kind of bewildered, like, she didn't even see you. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam recited this ayah of Surah Al-Isra. وَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ, that when you read the Qur'an, جَعَلْنَا بَيْنَكَ وَبَيْنَ الَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْآخِرَةِ حِجَابًا مَسْتُورًا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you, and between you and those who do not believe in the akhirah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will put a hijab, a veil, they won't be able to see you. This is so many other ayat. In fact, there's a whole section in Tafseer where you deal with the Ta'seer al-Ayat, or the atharat of the ayat. What impact and profound effect the ayat of the Qur'an have. Beautiful forms of effect that it has. The greatest effect also having sakina in one's life, barakah in one's life. But that's a discussion for a different time. The Qur'an has this, but also the previous revelations, they also had this kind of impact. So these rabbis were thinking to themselves, if it has this powerful impact, when you recite these ayat, is there a way to weaponize this? This is how crooked, when shaitan puts crooked ideas inside someone. They said, is there a way to weaponize? They were thinking how to weaponize these ayat. Even shaitan or the devils, they didn't know. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then tells us in Surat Al-Baqarah how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it a means of test for humanity. We stop here because then we get into the third form, which is a very, very powerful type of magic, famously known as the dark arts. It's a very, very dangerous type of magic and how it works. We need a whole discussion for that. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and give all of us the tawfiq to practice His deen. And I apologize if it was a little bit longer than usual. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وأدخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.